What's up, guys? It's Chris Jackson here. It's been a little while since I've made a video, but I felt compelled to make a video because I just got back from my very first tour ever. It was with one of my closest friends who goes by the name of cøzybøy. It was a short tour. We did 3 dates. We did Houston, then Fort Worth, and then Atlanta. It was a really fun time. It was exhausting, but I'm so glad I did it. And what we are looking at here is everything that I used on that tour, besides a guitar, obviously. All I did for an amp was use this guy, and this is the Walrus ACS1, which stands for Amp Cab Simulator 1. So it's an amp in a box, and it sounds really, really good. Very realistic, super convenient, super easy to figure out and understand, even for someone like me who's not very good with smart pedals like this. Yeah, really intuitive and made my life a lot easier. Reason I didn't use an amp, I'm not anti-amp, I actually love amps, but this was a very low budget kind of tour. cøzybøy, he wasn't gonna pay for an amp to be shipped. I wasn't gonna pay for an amp to be shipped. So this was the solution I came up with. My friends at Walrus helped me out, and I bought one of these from them and took about 2 seconds to figure out how to use. And then, I did a lot of tweaking until I got the sound I wanted, and I never ran into a single problem on the road. So before I, really get into this, let me just talk about my chain. So I'm going into a tuner, because being in tune is nice. I'm going into a Demeter optocompulator, which is a pretty simple but very nice compressor. I'm using it really in a subtle way. And then into that is my volume pedal. You're probably thinking, why is your compression before your volume pedal? That's how subtle my compression is. And also I never turn it off, so that it might as well just be my clean sound. So that goes into my volume pedal, which is a Dunlop X. It's like the mid-size volume pedal. And then that goes into a Fuzzroches little fella, which is a great overdrive, can get really heavy, but is also very clear. Then that goes into the Walrus ACS1. And the cool thing about the Walrus ACS1 is you can have 2 different amps going on at the same time and split into 2 different signals. I, however, even though I do use 2 amps at once, I don't want them in 2 different signals, so I sum them with the JHS summing amp, and that gives me 1 mono signal of both sides. And then that goes into an Earthquaker Devices Afterneath, and then that goes into a direct box that my dad made way back in the day. It's got Jensen transformers. It's really nice. So yeah, my signal is just all of this directly into his interface, and then that goes into Logic, and that is all. So straightforward. And the other great thing about that is we don't need to really mess with the sound guy at all, because it's so self-contained. His vocals going into the interface, my guitar is going into the interface, and then we can just give that out to the sound guy, and we're already pre-mixed. So it's awesome. Also, I should mention, the reason why I have a direct box on here, you can just go right out of this into an interface or into the front of house. The reason I have this on here is because I like that I have like a ground lift. I can cut the volume on the fly, and I have a high cut if needed. Plus, there might be times where I don't go right into an interface, and then I can just give this to the front of house. And since this is, an XLR out, that's a much more normal thing for sound guys to have and, deal with. So, it's just making my life easier. And then I have cøzybøy's logo actually on it. So that's cool. Let's just hear how that sounds as is. That little octave swell you heard at the end was the expression of the Afterneath. Basically, using a TRS cable, I can have an expression pedal kind of turning the drag knob here, and that gives it that, pitch shifty delay effect. And I probably severely overused it during the tour, but I have a ton of fun things on this pedal board. It's mostly very utilitarian, so that's like my one fun thing I can do. And that's another thing I want to bring up. No modulation, no delay, no fuzz. Super bare, but very useful. The kind of music that cøzybøy is, it's pretty simple. It's very spacious. So me adding a bunch of stuff in there would kind of be anticlimactic. It's much better for me to just be this human element that's adding a vibe to the song. And I felt to make the board as small as possible and to be as effective as possible, this is what I needed. So now let's talk a little bit more about this guy, the ACS1. It comes with 3 amps and 3 cabs. So Fender amp and cab, Vox amp and cab, Marshall amp and cab. And you can mix and match them however you want. And then it has, standard EQ that you would have on an amp. And it has a gain, volume. It also has a boost, which you can set to be pretty hot if you wanted it. I don't really use the boost in this setting, but I could see myself using it in other settings, definitely. It sounds really good. It also has a room knob, and it's kind of like a reverb, but it's more just like the sound of a room you would be in with an amp. And so it's kind of almost like how far the mic is from the amp. That's kind of how I think of it. So what I'm using personally is a Vox head through a Vox cab to get like my really mid-rangey, kind of gainy sound. And then I have a clean Fender amp through Fender cab. And those 2 things are being summed to 1 signal, which is kind of what I would do if I was recording, putting 1 guitar part through 2 different amps and just making it 1 solid unit like that. Makes total sense to me. I just didn't want to try a stereo thing. It's not like we were playing venues that had stereo PA systems or anything. So this just made our lives a lot easier. Now, let's hear that with the Lil Fella. I don't actually play any lead parts for cøzybøy, so I'm very out of practice in my lead playing, but I just wanted to give you something besides chords. In my opinion, that is exactly how that pedal should sound if put through an amp, and this guy makes it sound exactly like that. I'll just play with some more parts just so you can hear it a bit more. I'm actually going to show you something I filmed at one of the shows, because this is such a direct kind of signal path, because I'm just going right into the interface, and so is he with his microphone. We can actually record on Logic while we perform and just get a really isolated take, which is cool if we want to do like promo videos of like past live shows for future live shows. I brought this camera on the road with me, and I just placed it somewhere. So you'll see me playing, and the audio you'll be hearing is just the direct signal. And then I will add in the track and then his vocals, just so you can kind of hear how that all works. I'm going to leave a link to cøzybøy's music if you're interested in what that sounds like. And thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed.
Down, kissing on your low count, holding on your thighs, baby, draw me soft sounds, heavy on my eyes now, falling with the size, girl, head between your thighs, trying to find a hole, wrap me up and go, baby, can you find my soul, my chest is going numb, baby, will you be my hope, because I'm lonely, feeling so alone, I'm feeling so alone, yeah, baby, I'm still in love with you, yeah, baby, I'm still in love with you, yeah, baby, I'm still in love with you, baby, I'm still in